It's time to stop taking a sledgehammer to a needlepoint. Hi, and welcome to the Law Simplified, the world's largest independent online law school platform. I'm your instructor, Shaveen Bandardanayake. More often than not, even when I speak to my fast track and masterclass students, irrespective of the qualification that they're pursuing or even the jurisdiction that they're based at, a common trait among all students is how baffled they become when they've studied for a particular law examination, perhaps gone through the relevant precedent cases, the statutory provisions, even secondary sources like textbooks, put everything down on paper and yet get a mediocre result. Now, for those of you who has been following the videos that I've been creating on this very YouTube channel, as well as the different platforms the Law Simplified is disseminated on, specifically in relation to how to ace a law exam, and even for the most part the substantive content available on the online law school platform, you'll notice that it's much more than what you know, and it's far much more in terms of how you think that you're examined on in terms of a law examination. Whether you're pursuing a Bachelor of Laws, an LLB, a graduate diploma in law, a GDL, or even the practice modules for the most part, the common denominator among these qualifications is the fact that they are trying to determine whether you are capable of thinking at a relatively high standard to be a legal professional. After all, the person that's been produced is not someone who is supposed to have the best memory as such. It's someone who is supposed to tackle issues on a day-to-day basis once they are presented with them. And for those of you who are pursuing the criminal jurisdiction to become a prosecutor, or for that matter, a defense attorney, it might essentially be a person's lives that's going to be in your hands. So as a result, when it comes to an examination, what you're tested on is not essentially everything that you know. Oftentimes, students tend to mistake the volume of content that's there in law as being necessary to be translated in some way, shape or form into an examination paper. This is not meant to be a memory test. I've often spoken about this ad nauseum with my fast track and masterclass students, in the sense that the LLB, the legal qualification that you're doing, whether it be a GDL or even a LLM or a higher qualification, is about theorizing as opposed to memorizing. So what do I mean when I say don't take a sledgehammer to a needlepoint? It means don't try to bludgeon the law, the facts and your arguments directly at the examiner. When it comes to the law, the way in which it applies, and even in terms of the statutory provisions and the substantiation through case law, 9 out of 10 times your examiner is fully aware of all that material. If he or she wanted to know about it, he or she would have gone through the textbooks and the actual material itself. What they actually want from you, and to put this into a nutshell, is precision of thinking. What do I mean by this? I've often said a law degree is much more about how you think as opposed to what you know. And the best way to communicate what you are thinking is to be very precise with your arguments. I've often said in my workshop series, which you can access on the online law school platform, comprehensively going through breakdowns of questions as well as articulating responses from scratch, ones I've actually done with first-class law students over the past 9 years of tutoring, is to try and identify the fundamental issues of a particular scenario that's presented to you. Now, this is much easier said than done, but over time and with practice, you'll start seeing the nuances in fact pattern scenarios or even essay questions that you can harness and elevate your responses to. So, the next time that you are presented with an examination question, the next time you have a fact pattern before you, don't start thinking about all of the law that you have to communicate to your examiner. Think of what's relevant so that he can pigeonhole himself, that he can tunnel vision himself to see exactly who you are through your response. That being said, until the next time that we meet, have fun, stay safe, and as always, obey the law.